I guarantee you didn't know these surprising signs your dog might be struggling with anxiety, especially when your dog starts acting in strange ways, like whining, hiding, or even pulling away from their favorite people. Dogs can't tell us what they're feeling, and that leaves so many of us caught in a dilemma, unsure if they're just having a bad day or dealing with something deeper like anxiety. The truth is, anxiety in dogs often goes unnoticed, yet it can impact their health, happiness, and the bond they share with you. So, today, I'm breaking down the top 10 behaviors that secretly indicate anxiety in dogs. These are the hidden clues that professional trainers and animal experts look for when they're assessing the dogs. By the end of this video, you'll spot them with ease and know exactly what to do to help your furry friend feel calm and secure. So let's start. 10. Whining. Whining is one of the most immediate and recognizable signs of anxiety. If your dog whines whenever you leave or even when you're home, it's often more than just attention-seeking behavior. Whining is a dog's way of vocalizing discomfort, and when it happens frequently, it's usually a subtle sign of anxiety. Unlike a bark or a growl, whining comes from a place of distress. But why would dogs feel anxious when they're safe in their own homes? It's because dogs form deep emotional bonds with their humans, and separation can feel distressing, triggering anxiety. This also explains why some dogs whine even in social settings. They're not being clingy, they're seeking reassurance, and sometimes, when whining isn't enough, other behaviors surface. 9. Cowering. Cowering isn't just a response to direct fear, it's also an indicator of general anxiety. When dogs crouch down or try to make themselves smaller, it means they feel threatened or overwhelmed by their surroundings. Cowering may happen around loud noises, other dogs, new people, or even just around the vacuum cleaner. Dogs have an evolutionary need to protect themselves from perceived threats, and when they don't have a safe retreat, they cower as a last resort. Cowering can also show up as a subtle body language signal, where the dog keeps its head low or avoids eye contact. Cowering doesn't mean your dog is timid by nature, it means they're feeling overwhelmed. And once you recognize this, you can begin to understand the deeper layers of their anxiety. 8. Shaking. Shaking is another common response to fear or anxiety, and it's something we can easily overlook. Some dogs shake when they're cold, but if your dog shakes or trembles in specific situations, during storms, at the vet, or even after seeing a stranger, it means they're feeling anxious. Just like humans, dogs also experience a release of adrenaline when they're frightened, which can make their whole body tremble. In extreme cases, this shaking can escalate into a panic attack, where a dog will show intense signs like uncontrollable shaking, pacing, whining, or even trying to escape from confined areas. It's very important to recognize these signs early to keep your dog calm, secure, and safe. 7. Antisocial behavior. Dogs are naturally social animals, but anxiety can make them behave in ways that seem out of character. If your dog avoids other dogs or people, they might be feeling anxious. This antisocial behavior could include hiding behind you, refusing to approach friendly animals, or even retreating when guests visit. Many anxious dogs struggle to trust new situations and can become withdrawn as a way of coping. A sudden shift in sociability often indicates that something in their environment is causing them distress. In that case, they often prefer solitude to socializing. It's a way of protecting themselves from what they perceive as potential threats. But solitude can quickly turn into avoidance, and this brings us to an even more obvious behavior. 6. Escaping or fleeing. Anxious dogs often have a heightened flight response, and they may try to run away from certain situations. This might happen around other dogs, people, or even in response to certain sounds, like fireworks or thunderstorms. While some dogs are naturally skittish, a strong urge to escape or avoid something specific typically points to anxiety. If your dog frequently tries to bolt or avoid everyday situations, they may be experiencing a form of anxiety. And as anxiety builds, more severe behaviors can emerge. 5. Shutting down. When dogs feel cornered, sometimes their only option is to completely shut down. If you've seen your dog suddenly freeze on walks or refuse to move, they might be experiencing this extreme anxiety reaction. This behavior, which people often mistake for stubbornness, is actually a sign that your dog feels out of options and overwhelmed. This shutting down can lead to serious health consequences if left unaddressed, as dogs internalize stress that eventually takes a huge toll on their well-being. This stress can also manifest in the form of aggression, which brings us to the next point. 4. Defensive aggression. Don't mistake aggression for dominance. Anxiety-driven aggression has a distinct cause. When dogs feel under threat, they sometimes react with a show of force by growling, snapping, or even lunging. If your dog displays aggressive behavior, especially when they feel cornered or approached too quickly, this may be due to anxiety. Dogs who feel insecure or anxious can become defensive as a way of creating distance between themselves and the perceived threat. It's important to remember that aggression is often a symptom, not the root problem, and anxious aggression requires careful management. 3. Selective behavior. Have you ever noticed that there are certain situations where you can't trust your dog to behave calmly? If you find yourself making excuses or adding except when clauses to describe your dog's behavior, like they're great except when they see other dogs, or they're fine except around strangers, this is a red flag for anxiety. Dogs that are otherwise well behaved but show extreme reactions in specific situations are likely experiencing anxiety, especially if they repeatedly avoid or react poorly in those contexts. By learning which situations cause your dog to act differently, you're identifying key stressors, and when a dog reaches this level of avoidance, more noticeable anxiety behaviors begin to emerge. 2. Lack of normal dog behaviors. This is the most noticeable sign of anxiety in dogs. You see, dogs are naturally curious and active, so when they stop sniffing on walks, become disinterested in play, or seem disinterested in their usual routines, this could be a warning sign. An anxious dog's mind is so occupied with stressors that they might ignore things that usually bring them joy. This behavioral change can be subtle yet significant, as dogs who miss out on these normal activities are often suffering from more serious anxiety. And now, the most important one. 1. Reflecting your own anxiety. As surprising as it sounds, sometimes the key to understanding a dog's anxiety is to look inward. Dogs are incredibly sensitive to their owner's emotions. If you feel anxious or tense in certain situations, such as around strangers, during walks, or when visitors arrive, your dog can pick up on this and mirror your feelings. This shared anxiety can lead them to feel insecure and on edge. If you often feel nervous about how your dog will react or anticipate problems in social situations, your own tension could be amplifying your dog's anxiety. Dogs often act as mirrors of our emotional states, so it's important to be aware of how your own mood might be affecting them. If you've noticed one or more of these behaviors in your dog, they may be experiencing some level of anxiety. Whether your dog displays mild or more intense symptoms of anxiety, with the right approach, you can help them feel more comfortable and secure. This requires consistent training, building a predictable routine, and using calming aids. Now, if you're curious about behaviors that go beyond anxiety, check out this video on human behaviors that dogs hate. In that video, you'll learn how your actions might be unknowingly stressing out your dog, and how to change that to build an even stronger, more trusting bond. Click on the link, and I'll see you there.